Me and my wife, 29-year-old and 27-year-old, have been married for 3 years and together for 7. She's amazing. I love her so much. I couldn't ask for a better relationship or wife or best friend. For context of this story, I feel it's important to mention that my wife had never had a history of being mentally unwell, just a bit of anxiety, but she's never gone to therapy or gotten medication for it. Well, about 2 weeks ago, we were laying in bed together as she forced me to watch a show she's been binging. I wasn't paying attention, and she wasn't wearing pants, so my eyes went to her legs. I noticed that at the very top of her thighs, almost in the crease when you bend your legs, she had several cuts. They weren't super deep, but they were definitely scabbed up. I asked her what happened, and she played it off like she had no idea. I honestly didn't know what to think, so I didn't say much, and we didn't talk about it. Over the next few days, though, I started to look at her closer and kept seeing those cuts. They were close to her underarms, where I could only see them if she was raising her arms in a tank top. There was some under her breasts. Her bra covered it. Some were on the soles of her feet, and she wears socks all the time, even some on her hips where underwear would cover. I confronted her again, and she broke down sobbing, admitting that she had been doing it, but she didn't know why. I looked at the cuts, and again, they weren't deep, only 1, maybe 2, but definitely there. Specifically, the soles of her feet were pretty scarred. She admitted she'd been doing it for a couple of weeks. I honestly don't know how I missed this. I feel freaking horrible. But even before this, she always wore socks and kept her underwear on at all times, so I never thought anything of it. Her behavior hasn't changed at all either. She claimed it was a habit instead of trying to hurt herself. I told her I needed her to go to the doctor to get help. She begged me not to make her go, and she claimed she would stop. The only reason I didn't make her go to the hospital was because she had a breakdown about losing her job, and she loves her job. But I don't know what to believe. Either way, I went into our bathroom and took out all of the razors, the scissors from her art supplies, and basically any sharp thing I could find. When she realized this that night, she screamed at me from the bathroom that she only wanted the razors to shave her legs. I told her I don't feel comfortable giving her the razors. She told me I could sit in the bathroom and watch her shave her legs if that's what was necessary. I still wouldn't give them to her, and she screamed and sobbed. She lost it even more when she couldn't find the scissors. She journals a lot and broke down weeping when she realized I took them. I did give her the scissors back for that, but she was really frustrated when I sat there the whole time and took them back when she was done. After that, she accused me of baby-proofing the house because of her and yelled at me, telling me that taking those things from her wasn't going to help. She called me an AH and hasn't spoken to me in 12 hours. Am I the idiot for taking those things away? I don't feel like it at all. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, I am a therapist, but I'm not your wife's provider, and I am almost definitely not licensed where you live. Your wife needs help. Many providers, myself included, can treat self-injury. There are many reasons a person engages in self-harm, not all worth hospitalization. If she's saying she doesn't do it to hurt herself, I would be hesitant to even try to hospitalize her. They may not even take her. With severe scarring, I would be more inclined to think this has been going on longer than a couple of weeks, but I'm not a medical doctor, so I could be wrong. I don't know what your wife's job is, but I know of very few jobs where there would be penalties for her to get therapy in an outpatient setting. No idiots here, but using those items with supervision is perfectly safe. Let your wife shave her legs. Help her find help, because I know neither of you want this to be what has to happen in your home. Comment 2. Not the idiot, but you're handling it wrong. It's simply impossible to keep sharp objects away from an adult if they really want them. You need a mental institution or prison for that. Even then, they tend to get them. You're trying to dam the ocean. This is a case where a light ultimatum is okay. Given her extreme resistance to medical therapeutic intervention, make a deal with her. If she actually stops, she doesn't have to go. Give her a month and then inspect her, with her consent, of course. As long as there are no new cuts and the current ones are healed up, she's good. If she fails, she has to go to therapy. If she refuses therapy still, you can threaten an intervention with family. People hair for others to find out, and she'll take the therapy. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for more of this mess. So, after that whole razor and scissors fiasco, things got even more twisted. My wife? She started acting all sweet again like nothing happened, but I wasn't buying it. I noticed she was hiding something in her sock drawer one day. Turned out to be a stash of sharp objects she'd been collecting from who knows where. I was furious, felt betrayed. I thought we were past this. I confronted her, and she just broke down, said she felt trapped, like I was trying to control her. I didn't know what to do. I mean, I love her, but this was too much. I told her we needed to get professional help, no more excuses. She finally agreed, but only after I promised not to tell anyone, especially her family. She was scared they'd judge her, think she was crazy or something. We started therapy, and it was rough. She'd come out of sessions looking drained, wouldn't talk to me about what was said. I felt shut out, like I was the enemy. But then, one day, she left her journal open on the bed. I know I shouldn't have, but I read it. She'd been writing about an old friend from college, someone I'd never heard about. This guy, apparently, had been messaging her, filling her head with all sorts of nonsense about how I was controlling and didn't understand her. She wrote that she felt torn, like she owed him for being there when no one else was. I was seeing red. Who was this guy, and why was he messing with my wife's head? I did some digging, found out he had a history of manipulating people, even got kicked out of school for it. I wanted to confront him, but my wife, she begged me not to. Said it would make things worse. I was stuck in a tough situation, wanting to protect her but also respect her wishes. Then one night, she didn't come home. I panicked, called her phone a million times, no answer. Hours later, she walked in looking like she'd been crying. She admitted she met up with this guy, said she needed closure, to prove to herself that she was over whatever hold he had on her. But it backfired. He tried to kiss her and she pushed him away, realized she'd made a huge mistake. I was livid, not just at him, but at her too. I felt like my trust had been shattered. We had a huge fight and she left, stayed at a friend's place. I didn't know if our marriage could survive this, but after a few days she came back, said she wanted to make things right. She cut off all contact with that guy, showed me the messages where she told him to never reach out again. It was a start, but the damage was done. I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. We kept going to therapy and things were slowly getting better. She was opening up more, and I was learning to trust again. But then, karma came knocking. Turns out that guy she met up with, he got into some legal trouble. Big trouble, fraud, theft, you name it. And my wife, she was listed as a witness since she knew him from college. She was terrified, didn't want to get involved, but I told her it was the right thing to do. She testified, and it helped put him away. I could tell it was hard for her, but it also seemed to give her some closure. After that, things between us started to improve. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't quick, but we were getting there. She stopped hiding things, started trusting me again, and I started to let go of the resentment. It wasn't easy, but seeing her stand up in court, facing her fears, it reminded me of the strong woman I fell in love with. Thanks for reading this far. It's been a hell of a ride, but we're hanging in there. My partner of 13 years cheats with a married woman, so I send her husband a letter and watch as their marriage crumbles to dust. The letter itself gives the majority of the details, so I will paste a copy below. I'll also try to answer any questions to bring more clarity to the situation where needed. I ask that people please be respectful as myself, and my children are very hurt already by the whole betrayal. I understand that my ex-partner is equally to blame for this, but my conscience doesn't feel clear when I go to bed at night thinking there's a chance her husband doesn't know. I do not want to destroy another family. Her children are grown, and from what I understand, off at college and university. Myself and my ex are currently in couples therapy that he has paid for. I'm not sure what the future holds for myself and my children. The amended letter I have written but not yet sent. Thank you all for the amazing advice, dear Jay. I am unsure as to whether you are aware of your wife's affair with my partner of 13 years. If, on the off chance you aren't, I cannot move forward with a clear conscience without sharing the information I have with you. I am a 32-year-old mother of two. I found out on December 28, 2023, about the affair that had taken place almost a year ago. This is what I know. 1. They met in a car group where my then partner had listed some wheels. 2. A had taken an interest in the wheels between January 2023 and March 2023. 3. They messaged for a couple of weeks, and then she asked if she could see the car. 4. This led to subsequent meetings and eventually an intimate relationship in my ex-partner's rusty old work van late in the evening. 5. Apparently, protection was used, but I am not 100% sure on this. 6. She wished to have further meetings following this, but my ex-partner eventually stopped replying, and A then blocked him after he realized it was disgusting, disappointing, and embarrassing, and A returned to her family. 7. 3 days after Christmas, she then sent me screenshots of their conversation resuming for a few days around the Christmas period. I have included copies of these. 8. She also messaged my ex-partner stating that now they could be together. 9. The contact was made via a fake profile in both instances when she contacted my ex-partner and when she revealed the affair to myself. 10. She ensured her identity would be protected throughout. It was incredibly well orchestrated and, quite frankly, a little concerning. I want you to know that I am no threat to yourself or your family. I just feel that if you haven't been given any or all of the information, then I am not going to be complicit in enabling a cheater's poor behavior. I suggest you search for this fake profile and gather all the evidence you can before she is able to continue with her manipulation. As you can imagine, my children and I are incredibly hurt by both of their actions, as I'm sure your family is also. I wish you and your family the peace, happiness, and honesty you deserve. Best wishes. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I know this isn't English class, but I had a really hard time following this. I found it very slow developing and wordy, and the lack of paragraph structure to be intimidating. I don't know if you should or shouldn't send this, but I'd recommend reworking it to be more structured and to the point and less stream of consciousness if you want to ensure it isn't disregarded after the first several sentences. Comment 2. It takes too long to get to the point and is likely to be tossed in the trash as a probable plea for money before he gets to the meaningful part. State in the beginning what happened, short and sweet, and then go on with how wonderful you are and the details of what happened. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking with me here. So much has happened since my last post. Just when I thought things couldn't get more complicated, they did. I sent the letter to Jay, and the fallout was immediate. Jay confronted A, and it was messy. A denied everything at first, but Jay had the screenshots I sent. It was undeniable. A finally admitted to the affair, and Jay kicked her out. He was furious, and I can't blame him. I felt guilty for causing such a scene, but I also felt it was the right thing to do. Meanwhile, my ex and I were still in therapy, trying to sort through the mess. The therapist suggested we focus on co-parenting, which made sense, but it was hard. Every session, I had to sit across from the man who betrayed me and act like everything was okay for the sake of our kids. It was draining. Then, 2 days ago, my ex did something unexpected. He apologized. Not the kind of half-hearted apology he'd given before, but a real, sincere one. He said he realized how much he'd hurt me and the kids, and he wanted to make it right. He even suggested we attend a family counseling session together with the kids. I was skeptical, but I agreed. Anything for the kids, right? The family session was tough. The kids had questions, and we tried to answer them as honestly as we could without giving too much detail. It was heartbreaking to see the confusion and hurt in their eyes, but it was also a relief to finally be talking about everything openly. After the session, my ex asked if we could talk, just the two of us. He admitted that he'd been seeing A again, but he ended it for good after our family session. He said he wanted to focus on being a better father and rebuilding trust with me, even if we weren't together. I was shocked. I didn't know what to believe anymore. I spent that night tossing and turning, trying to make sense of it all. My ex seemed genuine, but could I really trust him again? And what about A? She was out of the picture for now, but who's to say she wouldn't try to worm her way back into our lives? Yesterday, I made a decision. I told my ex that I appreciated his apology and his efforts, but I needed space. I needed to focus on myself and the kids, without the drama and the constant back and forth. He was upset, but he understood. Or at least he said he did. So here we are. The kids are with me, and we're taking it one day at a time. J is filing for divorce, and A is out of the picture. My ex is trying to make amends, but I'm keeping my distance. It's not the happy ending I once hoped for, but it's a start. And right now, that's enough. Thanks for reading. My girlfriend ignores my warnings about her creepy friend and gets groped. So after she cheats with a coworker, I dump her and watch her get sued by the same guy. An update has been posted by my connected account u/throra_pasta here. My girlfriend, Kate, and I, 22-year-old female, 23-year-old male, have been together for 3 years now. My girlfriend has a friend, Tom, now ex-friend, from college who used to be interested in her and asked her out. But he started dating someone else, and she, this friend, and his girlfriend, Jenna, became great friends of each other. These three were extremely open with each other, and they had a group chat where these three discussed all sorts of things and made intimacy jokes. Typical, I thought. However, I drew the line where he shouldn't directly talk about suggestive things with her. This wasn't really something Kate understood, as they've been in each other's lives for years, and she led me to believe I simply couldn't understand their dynamic. I was also extremely uncomfortable with them hanging out alone together. Kate is extremely loyal to me, and I wouldn't say she's the sort of the woman to cheat. However, in my opinion, she can be extremely naive, especially when it comes to this person. Tom used to make suggestive jokes, which I disliked, but she used to laugh it off. I picked up on some bad energy from him and do not think he has good intentions when it comes to my girl. My parents took my brothers and I on a vacation for 2 weeks, so I wasn't in town. Kate, Tom, and Jenna made plans to hang out together, but then Jenna fell sick last minute, and they had already purchased tickets, so Tom and Kate went together. I raised objection to it and told her not to get drunk around him, but she dismissed me and got angry that I was trying to control her. I was supposed to arrive 4 days after her plans, and Kate didn't message me for the entire 3 days. We were both angry at each other, I assumed. However, when I came back, she invited me to her place and broke down and started apologizing. She confessed that she was so mad at me that she had like 5 shots that night, and she didn't realize when Tom groped her. She slapped him hard in the bar and took an Uber and came home. She said she was ashamed of telling me earlier and that I was right about him. I was trying to really hold myself together and didn't lash out at her or anything. I said that we need to immediately report him to the university authority about what he did, and I will support her. However, I wasn't very open or affectionate with her. She did cut him off, and Jenna broke up with Tom. However, I am extremely furious at Kate for completely dismissing and disregarding my feelings around Tom, and getting drunk when I expressed it makes me uncomfortable on top of them hanging out alone. I'm not trying to victim shame her, but that doesn't mean she gets to learn nothing from this and refuse to have good sense to know who to trust and who not to. I feel like a total jerk for even feeling angry at her, but I can't help how I feel. She's picked up on this, and I have no idea how to tell her this. ETA. I am mad at my girlfriend for even being able to trust someone who conducts himself inappropriately. It took her being attacked to finally listen to me. That's what I am upset about. Like, she shouldn't have to have this awful experience in order to finally process every single time I raised concerns about this. This is just terrible. Like, if she got scammed out of her life savings because she trusted a guy over me, when I kept shouting repeatedly not to do that, would I still have compassion for her? I would struggle for empathy, at least for some time. Because I would consider such a person unreliable to make big decisions in life. I feel disrespected and disgusted with her. How do I hold her responsible for her ignorance? I'm so mad at her I want to break up with her. I'm extremely sorry if my post is triggering, but I'm not blaming her for the actions of the douche who groped her without her consent and attacked her. His actions are entirely his own, and I'm going to make sure to get him freaking booted off the campus for what he did. I mean, I don't know how to frame this without being problematic, but she didn't prioritize her safety and acted like a freaking adult, for God's sake, and thought it was totally okay to get drunk like that. And that, too, out of spite. Like, this whole situation tells me that unless she gets to experience the worst of the worst undeserved consequences, she wouldn't change or listen to me. This isn't someone I want to be with. I wish she'd just stop taking my concerns as an affront to her autonomy. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Everyone seems to be overlooking a key thing. She doesn't respect your boundaries. You expressed discomfort with the intimacy, innuendo, and jokes, and instead of listening or respecting, she minimized it and simply said you couldn't possibly understand their dynamic. Later, you expressed a boundary of them being alone together and her drinking. Once again, instead of listening or respecting, she chose her own path. She didn't ignore your boundary. She actively crossed it out of spite. This is a toxic behavior. I don't know you, and I can't judge how you are with her. What I can say is that she will cross boundaries again in the future and spite you if she feels justified. Let's be honest, she doesn't love you. What she did isn't something a person in love would do. She spent 3 days after a supposedly traumatizing experience, and she didn't reach out to you. She's not your partner, she's your placeholder. And honestly, you're the same for her. Move on, comment too. Comment. Not the idiot she's an adult and put herself in that situation after you told her not to hang out with this man alone, ignoring your boundaries. You were trying to protect her from her better judgment, and she felt she knew better. Not saying she deserves it by any means, but she should have seen the signs. She shut his romantic advances down at first, then continues to be friends, and laughs off intimacy banter indirectly towards her like it's nothing. I feel like we're missing a puzzle piece here. How naive can she be? You play with fire, you're going to get burnt. You have every right to be upset about her decision, not the outcome of the ordeal. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around. A lot has happened since my last post. 3 months ago, I thought the drama with Tom was the peak of our problems. I was wrong. Kate and I moved to a new city, hoping for a fresh start. But the change of scenery didn't fix the cracks in our relationship. It only highlighted them. The move strained us financially and emotionally, and the tension was obvious. Kate started a new job and quickly befriended a coworker, Eric. I didn't think much of it at first, but then she started coming home late, her phone buzzing at odd hours. I didn't want to be the jealous boyfriend again, but something felt off. One night, she forgot her phone on the charger, and a message lit up the screen. "Can't stop thinking about you." It was from Eric. I confronted her the next morning. She tried to brush it off as a harmless flirtation, but I saw the guilt in her eyes. She admitted they kissed once, but swore it meant nothing. I was furious, not just at the betrayal, but at her disregard for our relationship. I felt like a fool for trusting her again. The aftermath was messy. We fought, we cried, and in the end, I couldn't get past it. I told her it was over, and she moved out. It was the hardest decision I've ever made, but I couldn't shake the feeling that she would never truly respect my feelings. Just when I thought I could start to move on, another surprise dropped. Tom, who had been expelled from university thanks to our report, was now suing us for defamation. He claimed the accusations were false and had ruined his life. The lawsuit was a nightmare, dragging our names through the mud and forcing us to relive the whole sordid affair. We were vindicated when the court dismissed his case, citing the evidence and witness statements that corroborated Kate's account. But the victory was hollow. The stress of the lawsuit had taken its toll on me, and I was left feeling bitter and exhausted. In the end, I cut off all contact with Kate. I couldn't deal with the constant drama and the betrayal. It was time to focus on myself and rebuild my life without her. Thanks for reading. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!